Welcome to the Messy Dads, Merry Hearts podcast. This podcast consists of two Christian dads who are dealing with the messy situations in their families and putting their trust in God to see them through. This is Scott, not TJ.
And this is Jackson's dad.
And Jackson's dad.
I'm rebranding.
There you go.
I'm rebranding. We're back after our summer break.
Yes.
And I'm still hopefully a friend of Travis. But yeah. I am rebranding because Miss Addie Jane has dubbed me Jackson's dad is my new name. So.
She did. Yes, that's how you're ending your emails, text messages.
Absolutely.
And
now,
but it's good to clarify that, we didn't get that cease and desist letter. That was one of the last things we talked about, so.
Yeah, no, this is not because of that. Travis is being a good sport. Probably means he doesn't listen. But after we took a break right before VBS, and I was told that the way that my name became Jackson's dad is how hilarious we were during VBS. So we brought the house down, which was the goal. So
they brought it down Wednesday night, and by Sunday it was built back up for services. But no, we did. We had a hot, busy summer here at Somerset. We had our VBS, and we talked about of this year compared to last year, and we felt better about it. I think that's
this year was. I feel like it was a lot better, at least turnout wise. Our part I would have liked a little bit better, but it is what it was. It got through, and again, if something stinks, you just bring it home with some physical comedy in the name of Chris Farley, and you just throw one of us into the baptismal every night, and good stuff.
I do a funny walk the first year. You go over into the water, and we don't want to give too much away, but we've obviously talked about and thought about next year and how you up the ante and all that stuff, and talked about props and individuals being brought in. And, I thought about it today. I don't think with any of the topics necessarily today, but we had Barb. We interviewed with Barb. Who is not, we said she might be someone that is a merry heart, but not a messy dad.
No.
And so we really should.
Funny, we're here recording the Messy Dads podcast as Barb is in the next room cleaning. So.
There you go, the alumni.
Yes. Something.
But yes, we've, we had our time, and it's also sounded like since then, there's been success with the podcast. So there's been, and by that I mean, we went from a dozen to 2 dozen.
Yeah, we've apparently extended all the way down to Athens.
So,
which I never thought that would get past Market Street.
Right.
So there was maybe some buyer's remorse. Is that the correct term? I don't know. These poor souls that are finding us that don't actually know us. I just feel sorry for them for when they find us. And then had a mother of a young man that I coach in hockey, and she's texted me that she's listening to us. She went back and listened to all our past episodes while she was working this summer and laughing her butt off hysterically.
Absolutely.
And I just feel pity for people that listen to me in their downtime. But
well, I think that's we had said. So you told me about the mother there. We had in one of our last recorded podcasts was about friendship, and that you brought up about By the Battery. And because of this podcast, because of that mention of, like you said, the Athens, about that, they talked to Dave, our elder, they talked to the newspaper, Dave got interviewed by the newspaper, all sorts of stuff. So we saw the value, we're seeing the value of the podcast and those things. We hope you do too. I know my family's listened to it, those things. We try to share it as much as we can.
Yeah.
And that, again, as in the introduction, that I actually got right because I had it printed out. If you watched the last ones that we didn't, I didn't have it printed out and just fumbled all over the place. But that we do. We try to talk about things, but in a humorous way. We share different perspectives, and that there are going to be certain things that maybe more heavily involved with the Bible, we'll use more passages and those things, but also just that we are currently, right? You're still in your 30s, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So for now, we're both still in our 30s, and
for another minute.
So we're still two dads in our 30s. We have more than one child, but different ages, different situations there. But still trying to navigate that, trying to navigate being a Christian, of leadership, of being the minister here. You're a deacon here, of teaching the teen class, teaching the adult class.
Yeah.
So
I don't know if everybody's being very nice, but everybody keeps telling me, "Good job" after Wednesday nights.
There you go.
So I don't know if they're just trying to be nice or.
Listen, you know I don't have enough to pay those people to say that. So you know that it's
well. Do we want to bring up Jace? I'm just saying. She didn't choose after a sermon on Sunday to be baptized.
No.
She chose after a Wednesday night Bible study, and she approached me. I mean, so we're just, I'm just connecting dots here. I'm just connecting dots. Actually, what's funny is, if we want to be serious about it for a minute, okay. I didn't do that. You didn't do that. We know who's responsible. Mm-hmm. I just remember the line I gave her when she came up to me to talk to me, and she asked if baptism was something we did here. Yep. We will find a space for you if you want to be baptized.
Yeah.
And I said, yeah. And she goes, okay, I don't know when. And my line was, there's water in there right now.
Yeah.
That is not an Andy Hill original. That is exactly what Matt Thomas told my wife. And that has stuck with me for 11 years or whatever. That, why? Why would, if there's water in there now, there's water in there now. We used to have a pool next door. That is gone now. That we could have used. I would have driven to Buckeye Lake that night.
Yeah.
Or, well, I don't know how clean you're getting in that water. But wherever, yes, we do it. But I'll forever be grateful for Matt Thomas for one day saying there's water in there right now.
Yeah.
Because it's something that stuck with me how he said that. And
yeah. That
was awesome. But enough about my triumphs. My successes this summer.
Yeah. So one of the things that we hope to accomplish today, as we typically do, we sit down, record several of our lessons in one place, but last time you would have seen us probably sweating, and with some, I don't want to call it mood lighting, but it was darker than it is right now, and some red in the background, all sorts of stuff. We had a car behind us, and as you can see, that's not today. So we went from audio, we went to doing at Jeremiah's house there in the garage, and now we're in the office in these comfy chairs. Lord willing, we'll get back up from them. And but along with that and those things, today I want to talk about moving, and I want to get into that just for the fact that when we recorded the last time, we were very talkative. We were very summer had not quite began, but we were both going to go on vacation the next day.
Yes,
and
we actually both left the next day.
So we were only able to record 2 because of just how long we went. So I actually set a timer so that we can, because even today there's still things going on.
When it goes off, Jeremiah's going to get the hook. So
there you go. That's how we'll know. Yeah,
if we're done talking or not.
But of moving, and you can talk to me a little bit about this, about how it came about and those things. And if I tell you, I'm thankful, and maybe I have to start doing it this way too, but I'm thankful that last few years I've been planning my sermons for a year. Towards the end of the year, so in a few weeks, a month or two, I'll start planning for 2026. Have that all planned out. And it's been really helpful when I come into the office on Monday and I go, hey, it's a new week. I got to preach a sermon. Where do I start? Where do I go? And I've got the title. I've got either a passage. I've got something to go on. And now with preaching, now with us doing the devotionals that we're trying to upload once a week, which we have different people involved in that. In this, it'd probably be good to set aside time for that as well. Of, hey, we're hoping to do so many episodes, or here's at least a list of topics we could cover. But moving was just one, and that I think to a degree we've talked about our past before, that you could probably talk about that some. I wrote down the things I can talk about that, and even just like I brought up with our podcast, it itself has moved. We started off in New Lex, we went to Jeremiah's, and then also the thing about today, we're in my office, but even the timing, we normally would record this during the day, so we went from recording the day down to an evening at Jeremiah's to Saturday.
To now, here we are on a glorious Saturday afternoon.
That's right. Yeah. So we left our wives with the children. Here for the gospel's sake. So, you
have to watch the children. I'm going to do the work of the Lord.
There you go.
It's always a good excuse.
But the first time, so I was born in Evansville, Indiana, in a hospital, and that my parents lived in Newburgh. Newburgh was where the rich people lived, but we weren't rich. We lived in a trailer. And I got to go to preschool there at a place, it was a Noah's Ark preschool. And before we went to kindergarten, we moved. We left Newburgh. So, left ties there, moved to Boonville. We got to talk about it a little bit. And if you heard me say about Boonville, its shining feature that has been and so far has continued is that it's in Indiana, pretty flat, except for we have a hill. And on that hill sits a McDonald's. And on that hill, not only does the McDonald's sit there, but they have their sign up in the air, and you can see it at night for miles. You know, you're in Boonville. There's a McDonald's, so...
or Boone, Vegas, as you described.
Yes, they do, because...
Boonville, Indiana.
Boonville, Indiana. I think I'd have to look at the population between it and New Lex. But the thing about it is, we have our Walmart. And so I remember... maybe I brought it up before, but I remember we had just a Walmart. Then we got a Walmart Supercenter, which moved a little out of town. But for the longest time, my aunt would not go into there. Like, she had something against Walmart.
Yeah.
I don't know where she stands with that today. But I remember the first few times going in there, I was like, oh, okay, I've been to this Walmart now 5 times. I've been to here 10 times. You know, it was like an exciting thing.
Yeah.
And, you know, before the world shut down and everything else, Walmart was open 24/7. So, it still is. Like, if I want to meet people when I go home, go to Walmart, and you will see them.
Have you ever been to Walmart in the middle of the night?
I have, yeah.
Okay. And you lived to tell the tale. Good job.
I did. yeah. It's a strange place, but
you know, people that shop at Walmart, they call them Walmartians.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
I did not. But
I'm a Walmartian.
You're a Walmartian?
I don't care. I will risk death for low prices.
That's right.
So that's my saying.
Mm-hmm.
Every time we go on vacation,
mm-hmm.
my wife will be, did I get this? Did I get this? Did I get this?
Mm-hmm.
I hopefully have enough underwear, have enough clothes.
Uh-huh.
If I forget my toothbrush, whatever, there's a Walmart.
Yep.
Somewhere. And I've dubbed it, I might have told you this, the axis of evil. I don't know if that would be, because it's a World War II term, but I don't know if that would be appropriate. But no matter where in this country you go, you are probably within 5 square miles of one of 4 things.
Mm-hmm.
A McDonald's,
mm-hmm.
a Walmart,
mm-hmm.
a Subway, or a Dollar General. If you have those 4 things, like, you will survive. Like,
when we moved to Ohio, which is down on the list, but when we moved to Ohio, what we determined what a city is, or
mm-hmm.
that has people, is a Dollar General, a gas station, and a local pizza place.
Yeah.
Every place we went through, like, oh, well, there's their local pizza. They have their gas station, and that was the 3 things. And then, yeah, the McDonald's are popular and everything else, but those 3 things, because here in Somerset, they've got a Subway, they got 2 local pizza places, in a gas station.
Yeah.
Like it's just the standard. So, but yeah, of Boone Vegas, I feel like I'd have to ask my dad. He's obviously a little older than me. Maybe he was around when the term was being formed or how it got formed. But I think it got used around prom time, and for the kids and that stuff, whatnot. And I know. I think one of the after proms was designed like a casino. I don't know, but yeah. And then I told you that they had their own monopoly out for Boonville. It's also the county seat, so just like New Lex. But so I moved to Boonville. We lived in town, had a nice house, this stuff. But just as I was going to be old enough to start walking to school or whatever, and walk to my friend's house, my parents said, "We're leaving, getting out of town." So we left town, and about just 5 miles out, and had like a quarter mile of a driveway. At the time, I thought, man, this is a long driveway, especially after living in town. Now I have a half-mile driveway, and that quarter mile is not bad. Very shaded, very, very nice.
Your driveway now, it's its own drive.
It is its own drive.
It actually takes a lot longer. It seems a lot longer than a half mile when there's potholes. So.
Well, so our neighbor, let me clarify, our farming neighbor,
not your landlord.
Not my landlord neighbor who lives on the property, but my farming neighbor, he came over a few weeks ago, and actually he fixed it up.
Yeah.
Mike was going to do
I've recently been to your house in the middle of the night, and I was like, this is very smooth. They've done some work.
Yes.
And then I was worried that your landlord neighbor was going to shoot me for driving that fast up your driveway in the middle of the night, but friends were called upon.
So we moved there. I didn't write down, but obviously I moved away a little bit from home for college and those things, temporarily. And then he and I got to move down to Florida, and in the process of moving to Boonville, like I said, I was kind of young and those things. One of the things I talked about was just like friendships or those things. We didn't really have family that lived in Newburgh, so if anything, we got closer to family by moving to Boonville. And then when, again, if we moved to college, there is that, at that age of 18, 19 years old, moving away from home and those things and responsibilities, or, hey, it's up to you to figure things out. It's these things. But then even for he and I moving to Florida, that, we got to go for our honeymoon. We went to Pigeon Forge, and it's so funny because every trip we've ever gone on was with our parents. We didn't go on a spring break trip, just high school friends or anything like that. So here we got married, and just the two of us go. We go stay at a hotel. We go get to Pigeon Forge, everything. And there are no adults. There are no one else's schedule, no one's routine. And so it's so weird. It's so odd from everything we'd grown up with. And then, like I said, then we moved to Florida, and
the price of living shot up.
And I think maybe I don't know if you said that you grew up in some bad neighborhoods, lived in some bad neighborhoods, but our apartment area, we thought we got along with people and all this stuff, but if I told it before, someone didn't like the way Hannah parked, and so one day they left a note on her windshield, and then when she apparently still didn't park the right way, they slashed 3 of our tires.
Oh.
Because if you slash 4, then you can get insurance, it can be paid for all that stuff, but on 3, you can't do that. So, it's really nice. Really nice.
Yeah. It's funny, we were just talking about Newark and that.
Yeah, you're talking about.
So.
But, having to do that, we lived in our apartment that we had. The floor was a little uneven, whatever, and so they were going to fix it, but that meant Hannah came home one day from work, and some of the floor was missing, and there was a guy standing where there should have been a floor. He was in the thing. And, so, besides the neighbors, besides the, this, that, we actually met a Messianic Jew. So he's Jewish, holds Jewish traditions, but believes that Jesus.
Yeah.
So, just a real, dynamic group of people. We could see a lake where we're at in Florida. We also had a pond that was on the other side of the fence, but there were alligators in it. And the thing about that is like, oh, great, there's a fence. But then you watch videos and you find out that alligators can climb. Mm-hmm. And so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, they're awful. I tell Sarah all the time, because I love Florida. Actually, the funny thing is one of our trips got canceled this year. And it was supposed to be to New Smyrna Beach, Florida. Mm-hmm. I'm supposed to be there today. Oh. I'm still in Ohio. But I love Florida. Love going to see Florida, doing these things. Obviously, big NASCAR fan, so we go to that's what's happening in Florida this weekend. Oh. I always talk about moving there. And then you see a picture of a 10-foot alligator on a tee box on a golf course. And I'm like, well, I forgot that they have dinosaurs, so I no longer want to move there. And just...
Alabama's good enough?
Alabama's got dinosaurs, too. Uh-huh. It's funny you brought up Bayou La Batre, because we are going in a couple weeks. We're almost there again. So that's cool. Not to get too far off topic, but it was just kind of funny talking about that. It's like, man, we're leaving in a month to go back, and I can't wait to see those people.
Yeah, it's the end of August now, and
yeah.
So basically,
well, my tale, since we're just laying out our moving
it's like when
our Jesus going and preaching to these different areas
across the boat,
and I'm sure Jeremiah on the video portion will have something sassy to say. But you mentioned you were born in Evansville.
Yeah,
I was born in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Mm-hmm. Do with it what you must. I call my hometown Pinckney, Michigan. I tell everybody that's my hometown. But the funny thing is as much as I moved around, parents got divorced and so on and so forth, I lived in Pinckney for a very short amount of time.
Yeah, you like Jesus. Sorry.
But the reason it's home is my grandparents, who I just went up there, spent some time in Pinckney, have lived in the same house my entire life. Mm-hmm. It has literally been the only constant, the only steady constant. I only went to Pinckney for 2 years of school, a year and a half, really. So Pinckney, but it's home, because that's, that's the only constant. I used to go up there, spend my summers with them and stuff like that. So Pinckney is probably my favorite place. Mm-hmm. That's why it's home. When we were there, drove Sarah and the boys. We went to a town called Brighton. I lived in Brighton for a while. Went to church in Brighton growing up there in Michigan. I call Brighton kind of like my pseudo hometown, because the church, I had a bunch of friends that lived there. So I'm very, and Brighton's very suburb-like. But I've lived in a lot of places. I lived in Howell, Michigan, Whitmore Lake, Michigan, Pinckney, Brighton. In Ohio, I've lived in Reynoldsburg. That was the first place I lived when I moved down here originally, in the third grade. Mm-hmm. And that's a place Sarah and I actually lived when we first got married, in a town called Reynoldsburg. It's down by Columbus. I graduated from Gahanna-Lincoln in Ohio, so Gahanna, Ohio. I've had many apartments since becoming an adult. I lived in Groveport, so there's been a lot of traveling around, and like I said, it's just kind of from an unstable kind of, with parents being divorced and stuff like that. I mentioned Sarah and we lived in Reynoldsburg for, I believe, 3 years, and then we moved, and then we lived in Newark for a short while, because we had a good situation where I was trying to take some college classes and so on. And then when she got pregnant with Jackson, we were in a condo. So we had Jackson. We lived in that condo for a very short amount of time. Moved out here to Thornville. And love it. So there's been lots of moving around in my life.
Yeah. So, because we brought this up the other day, that I think, when you said your anniversary, November 1st, right? Mm-hmm. So, come November, it'll be 5 years, because you came at the end of 2020. So, how old is Jackson?
Jackson is 6.
6? So, yeah, so he was only a year old then, yeah.
Yeah, he was... We moved out here in October of 2019.
Okay.
So because we didn't come to church here right away, we were still going to Pickerington.
Yeah.
And like October of 2019, that was 3 months.
Yeah.
4 months before the world shut down. And then we got tired of doing church.
Yeah.
Online. Yeah. And I said, maybe we should look around. And then there you were. As the story goes, there was Scott with his jazz hands welcoming us back to church here, or us in for the first time, but it was the first Sunday that you guys were open.
Yep.
After having to shut down because of COVID and all that good stuff. Sure. But yeah, I laugh because I'm from Michigan. Like I said, I'm sure Jeremiah's got some sassy things to say, which I'll see when it comes out. I consider that home. Just went up there last week, saw the grandparents, went to the west side of Michigan, which is my favorite place to be. I love a town called Grand Haven, but if you're on the shoreline of Lake Michigan, you're probably in a good spot. But I've spent more time living in Ohio now at this point in my life than I did in Michigan.
Yeah.
I'll be serious for a minute. I like Ohio. Like, obviously, I've stayed here all this time. There's some things that have worked out. I've built a network and all that good stuff. But it was actually funny. Somebody asked me the other day. We were talking about a football player that was born from Ohio, went up, played for Michigan. We were kind of jarring back and forth at each other. And I said, yeah, I'm born in Ohio, had to go to Michigan to achieve greatness. And they said, well, what's your excuse? And I said, I was drugged down here against my will. And then Jennifer Granholm happened, she used to be governor of Michigan. She's terrible. Okay. And hence why I'm still here. But Ohio's been good to me. It really has. Like,
I almost forgot that on our podcast we shout people out. We call them out.
Like, if you like Jennifer Granholm, this podcast is not for you.
the Sheridan School District lady,
Angie Gessler.
Yeah, Gessler.
Which her administrative assistant was recently just very rude to my wife. Which, again, that's not our topic for today, and we're trying to stay in the time window. But
be Christian about it.
Yes, but Ohio's been good to me. Like I said, I built a network. We have our church. Like Sarah and I, we laugh. I really like out west too. Like we travel out west. We go to Phoenix and Las Vegas and stuff, and we joke about moving there. And it's like, well, if we could take the church, if we could take our friend group and everybody else with us,
yeah,
absolutely. But there's no reason for us to leave. And met my wife in Ohio. So like I've built this family in Ohio, so I'm very fond of Ohio. Just Michigan's home, and it's just on a different level, and it's who made me, and kind of that's just made me the person I am. So, but all of these experiences, like I tell people, you'd think I was a military brat for as much as I moved around, but I have gotten to meet a lot of different people and had different friends throughout the years that you were friends with, and so I feel like it's made me very cultured.
Again, talking about the importance of this topic or these things, I don't think either one of us can say, although maybe we moved when we were younger or this, that, the other, but I don't think either one of us can say that since we've had kids that we've had to move. So neither one of us have had the experience.
Yeah, I just moved from Columbus we had Wyatt when we moved from Columbus to out here, but that's a 30-minute drive. So it's not moving.
Of them being involved in a sport and them being in
my children's pretty much whole lives have been right here in Perry County. So
and that's one thing. So your kids have all been here. My kids have been several places, but one of the things that we tried, which again I know that things are out of my control. I'm reminded of that all the time, but as much as I can, as much ability that I have, for as long as they're in school, is to be able to stay here. And I've probably lived at home longer. However, we were in Florida for 2 years, and now that I've been here 8, we've lived here 4 times as long as we did in Florida, and we did a lot of things in Florida. And the people and the members of the church that we got along with, and the activities and those things. But we have spent, 4 times as long here, and so that there are, and as we've been here, we've gotten to know people better. We've been able to build that trust with people better. I think both ways, that people trust us more, we trust people more, vice versa. Our involvement in the community, all these things. But yeah, I think that too. I think there is a benefit that you don't stay in one place all your life. I think there's a time for that traveling. I think there's a time for that. The different experiences of having to go away to college. I was 4 hours away from home. My parents weren't in the backyard. All that stuff. Yeah. I got to do that. When I got married, I went to Florida, like 12 some odd hours away from home. And, hey, what's our marriage going to look like? What's this, what are things going to be? And then that even when we left there, that again, we're still not around family here in Ohio.
Yeah.
And
it's not a bad thing.
It's not good, sir.
When we lived in Newark, my in-laws lived right down the street. And then we moved out here 30 minutes away, and it still doesn't seem like enough space.
Yep. But well, my advice, my advice to people that get married is I tell them, listen, I'm happy that you're getting married, but the first 2 years you're in Ohio, the first 2 years of your marriage, move to Florida. I said my wife and I did it for the first 2 years of our marriage. The best thing ever could have done. And if you're someone who's getting married in Florida, that's where your family's from, then go to another state. I don't care which state it is, but move away. But now with our kids and those things, now we need to move back home. Now we need grandparents next door. Now we need that stuff.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I think there's a benefit to going out and getting experiences and those things. But I'll also say, and maybe you allude to this, there's just something about going back home or calling that place home. Because you talk about your grandparents. My grandparents have lived on the same property since I've been born. And now and they owned it probably before then. But I actually got to see a few years ago, there is this old photo of what their house looked like. Is a trailer. Okay? However, my grandpa being a handyman, being whatever, it does not look like that photo. No. It does not look. He's added bedrooms on. He's expanded.
Yes.
Instead of the typical because it's a trailer, like it should only be 10 feet tall, whatever. Like he's built a big roof. That has storage up there, whatever.
Yeah.
That they built, which this is a buzzword. Because right now there's a lot of things going on with Cracker Barrel because of the whole logo thing. But they took the man and the barrel away, and they're rebranding that. It looks more like a Bob Evans on the inside. It's very modern, very LED lights.
Who got offended by a man in a barrel?
I don't know. Supposedly the CEO decided that hey, we need to rebrand and
fair enough.
whatnot. So, but like I said, maybe this is our way into people because my grandparents love Cracker Barrel. And so, but she also likes ducks. So when she built this party house for events, it's the Quacker Barrel.
That's awesome.
So, and in fact, since we're on that, how just briefly, that I live here in Ohio. They live down there in Indiana, and they have a Menards, but they ran out of them. My grandpa found out there's a Menards here in Ohio that had this big giant mallard, and that he wasn't going to drive all the way up to get it. So he said, hey, if I buy that, will you and Hannah go and get it? Yeah. So we took our vehicle to that Menards. We gave them the thing. We had this mallard. We brought it home. And then when my parents came and visited us, we swapped. And we gave them the mallard, and they took it all the way back to Indiana.
There you go.
So, yep, for the Quacker Barrel.
Yeah.
So
my truck, my Ranger, not this one, but the one that I had before, the 2-seater, was actually bought in Florida by my grandparents. And they drove it to Ohio for me.
There you go.
That was 2009, something like that. I don't know, 2010. But yeah, it's funny how that works. So,
well, our timer went off, and like I said, I know we're trying to get as we're coming back into it and those things. I think we have a few other things we want to record, and get those things out there because especially now that we have the visual, we talked about that'd be something more appealing. I know it's my grandma, maybe your. I've heard of your grandparents also enjoying the visual.
I don't know if they figured out how to work this one yet, but when they do, I'll definitely get some feedback.
But let me, because don't let me do this without my script. But so yeah, thanks for giving us a listen or watch. We hope you learned some things, and we hope you laughed along with us. Join us next time on the Messy Dads Merry Hearts podcast.
See ya.